special edition of Stage Diving with Scotty, and it's the Spacing Effect, my band, and Aaron's band. There you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the other person I've been talking about for a while. This is Aaron Cabral, the other vocalist, guitarist, production engineer, all the goodies. Aaron, welcome to my little show.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I've been a little preoccupied with mixing and recording, so.
Aaron does it all, and when I'm trying to do the social stuff, he's doing all the mixing and all the goodies to the songs, and just really taking his time. So it's a good little exchange. So, but yeah. So we finally have our first full-length album, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. This freaking thing has taken almost 2 years.
About 2 years. Yeah. But it took a little bit longer than we wanted to, obviously. But I give ourselves a little bit of a pass, and the reason for that is 2020 was in the middle of this. We went through 2020, the year, in this recording, and normally when we get together and write and exchange ideas and stuff, it's in real time. It's right there. Like, hey, here's a riff. We kind of play off each other and record and whatever. Well, we had to do a lot of things remotely, right? Yeah. So I'd email you some tracks. Maybe you look at it that night or the next day. You'd have some feedback, some ideas. You send it back to me. Maybe I can get to it later that day. So what normally would take, seconds took days sometimes. So it's good that we have the technology and the ability to do this stuff where we can email each other tracks back and forth and stuff like that. Yeah. But that's why, hadn't not been for a pandemic and last year's craziness and everything like that, we probably would have finished this sooner. Yeah. But we weren't the only ones in this situation, right? Pretty much almost all bands went through this in some form or another. So we were able to get it done. That's the important thing. And I'll tell you what, I mean, it's one thing to be able to write songs, but it's another thing to be able to finish them and do a whole production from writing to recording to mixing to mastering. So again, I'm pretty proud of us for finishing an 11 song record in the amount of time that we did, because any musician who's watching this knows that finishing ideas can be a challenge.
Oh yeah. So yeah. Well, and lucky enough, it's just two of us, as opposed to these guys have like 4 or 5, sometimes even more members in their bands.
Yeah.
And you got to wait for someone else to do their part and be like, okay, we're just waiting for you to get to it. Come on.
Right. Yeah. No, the decision-making process is a little more streamlined when it's just two of us, right?
Yeah. I mean, I know we both kind of do it sort of, where we kind of get burned out of one idea of one song, and then we kind of go, okay, well, I need to just kind of decompress, or just need to walk away. Like you say, I need to walk away and go to a different idea for a different song or whatever. So it really is an interesting process of how we work together, how we work in our own time. And, but I mean, at the same time, at the very least, yes, the process is fun, sometimes excruciating, but when it's that final thing where you're done and it's down to mixing, that's so satisfying. Oh yeah, I just got to mix it. Oh, thank God we're done with the lyrics. We're done with the little ads. Yeah. It's just mixing. And you do
well, satisfying for you. I have to mix. I got to mix, and I got to live with all of the million versions I do. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, but once the ideas are fleshed out and recorded, that is a milestone.
Yeah.
So,
well, so with our songs, 11 songs, right? 11 songs. Original songs, and then we did a sort of a full version of Cosmic U.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. Let's start with the Cosmic U is the first song on the album. It's our first single. And interestingly enough, it was the last song we wrote. Yeah, and that song was written by accident. actually. So I got to tell the story behind that
Yeah.
one. We had 10 was the number of, we were going to cap the album out at 10 songs, right? It was a good round number of whatever. I got a piece of software, some gear, and obviously when you get a new piece of software, you want to play with it, make sure you know how to work it and master it and everything like that. So I pull up a session, and instead of using it on something that I already had recorded, I wanted to just quickly record something so I could learn this software. So I go in and I find a drum beat, random, just first loop I found, just picked it, the dun dun ba dun dun ba ba dun, right? Put it on there. Okay, cool. Now I need a guitar part, and plugged in the guitar. First thing that came to me was that riff. I think I had noodled on that riff a little bit, like a day before, something like that. I don't think it was like just right, but it was pretty spur of the moment. Just started playing that riff. Okay, that works. All right, cool. Double it and everything. Now, in the software that I was trying out, it's a vocal. It's for aligning multiple vocal tracks. So you have all these stacked vocals. If they're a little bit imperfect in terms of timing and stuff like that, it just kind of like gets them into place. So I had to sing something. So I pull out my phone where I have all my lyrical ideas. I found some things. I found some words, some statements, and that's when I found in the backwash of the universe that was on there, Father Time never lost a race. That was a separate lyric idea somewhere. I kind of just put the two together. So I did it. And I figured out how to work the software and everything. And then when I was done with it, I kind of sat back and I was like, well, shit, this sounds pretty good. Like, this sounds too good to just delete, Maybe I should try to write a song around this. And I remember when you came over not long after, I played it for you. And remember, we had decided 10 songs was it. And I played it for you. And you just had this look on, you didn't even say anything. You just had this look on your face like, well, we're going to have to record this song and put on the album now. So,
crap, Aaron, what are you doing?
Well, hey, it is what it is. So I took that initial part and I wrote some other parts. I got the chorus, and I remember, I don't know if you remember this, I had an idea for the chorus. I didn't have lyrics. I wanted to kind of, had done my part. I took it as far as I could, and I wanted to, hand it over to you and let you put your stamp on it. Mm-hmm. I knew how I wanted the melody to go, but I didn't have any lyrics. So I sent you a version. You remember this? I sent you a version where I put this really cheesy sounding organ. On it. Oh, to kind of show you what the melody should be. It sounds so bad, but the frequency range of this organ was similar to the vocal range. That's why I chose it. But I gotta see if I have that somewhere. It's so funny because it sounds so cheesy.
That'd be great.
But
on here.
that's how I wanted you to phrase your lyrics to that. Okay. So that's how that came about.
Well, lucky enough, that's one of so I asked a question about, I posted about, what were your favorite songs, and I had a few responses. And Lance Wagner loves Cosmic You. That's one of his favorites.
Thanks, Lance.
Believe it or not, Aaron. So my friend Paul from Sterling, he said his favorite so far has been, don't laugh, Can't Break Me. And that's his favorite. And I'll say why I think that's funny. Is his other favorite is he's actually really enjoying Past the Lighthouse. He really likes the lyrics a lot.
Yeah.
That's going on. Hey. So Cosmic You, that was the first. And the thing is when we did this, it was the full version that you hear at the end of the album is what we had. But Max, our manager, thought it was really, really good, and that we should edit it down so that way it could be played on radio and whatnot. Because it's over 5 minutes, so the full version. So we had to chop it up a bit.
It was, I think, the original version, and actually the long version on the record is not even there was a longer version than that. I had the bridge was even longer, but yeah, it was over 5 minutes, which we thought this was probably a single, so we knew we had to get it down under 5, under 4.5 if possible.
That was hard
yeah,
for you.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was really
Well,
hard for you.
It's funny. I know now what in movies what director's cut really means. Like I get it now. I get it when the director's like, fine, we'll put out the movie, but we're gonna put out my version, what I wanted. So I kind of understand it. So yeah, when we were going through that, I was like, we're cutting out all these parts that I like,
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, you know what? We're just gonna have 2 versions. We'll do the radio single version, and then we'll do the longer version. I think it worked out fine. I mean, I agree with the need to shorten it, especially in its original, like well over 5 minutes. But it was hard it was tough to take out some of those parts.
Yeah. And then that was so hard because we were so used to the long version. So to cut it felt like we were negating like just what was making it what it was. I don't know, in a way. Those little extras, lead of your lead or the extra of the bridge or something. It just seemed like it had a good build and a good flow. But,
so interestingly enough, the next track, Floating Orbs, is our longest song on the record.
Yep.
It's a deep track in my mind. Like I knew it was well over 5 minutes, but I didn't care. Like I wasn't going to compromise on that particular one. I had 3 verses that I felt strongly about keeping in there and everything. So that is, that's our deep track. But that one was written pretty early too. I think that was maybe the second song written for the record.
I think it was Only Light it was like the Only Light, Floating Orbs, like the very beginning of the second album.
Yeah. So that one's been around for a long time. A lot of mixed versions on that particular song. But that one started with the verse riff, and I did it on acoustic guitar. And I remember emailing you or texting you that track. And I think you weren't really sold on it at first. You're like, it's cool. I'm like, don't worry. I'm just noodling on my acoustic. This will be electric. This will be different. True. And so I think when I did start really fleshing it out on electric and stuff, I think you're like, okay, yeah, now I see where you're going there. But it's got the clean part. It's a weird song. It's just a weird song. It's got these verses and then the chug chorus and kind of channeling, I don't know, 80s metal on the chorus a little bit. I don't know. But I like it. And you did a great job of putting you did the lead work on that, the lead guitar parts, the solos and those leads. That's what you brought in, and it really made that song. I think it really kind of like gave it some life and added to the weirdness.
Yeah. And I think it was what's cool about that is I get a lot of compliments about that song, actually, for quite a few people, and a lot of the compliment is at that break. People love that freaking break and almost wish it was longer when it starts kicking in. The dun, dun,
kind of like the build in the bridge there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like, that part kicks so much butt. It's so great,
Yeah.
But
that's why I felt strongly about keeping it. Though we could have totally edited that down, but I'm like, no, this has got a jam. This is a jam.
Yeah.
So I said, forget it. We're keeping it as is.
And that one didn't, honestly, that one didn't take, it seemed like that one didn't take a lot of, I don't remember having a lot of mixes of that one. Was there a lot of mixes of that one?
Yeah, there was a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had a lot of versions.
Okay.
Yeah, and recording the vocals took a little time too. I did a lot of takes on that, a lot of comp takes, and
verses,
right? Like taking this line from this version and that line from that version, like comping it all together and stuff like that. But yeah, the electric parts are the Mesa Boogie, the Mark V amp, and then also a modified Marshall on the choruses too. So yeah, no, it's our weirdest song, but I think it stands up.
I think so too. Yeah, it's got good. I remember when you showed me just when you hit the chorus of just the music, I was like, wow, that sounds. I love it. It sounds very Toolish. In my opinion, it sounds very Toolish.
Yeah,
And then you
yeah,
sing with the '80s kind of say '80s stuff.
yeah. It has actually one of my favorite lyrics on the record is in that song when I say a hologram performing after you die. And that's like, the whole like hologram, like Tupac, on stage and everything. It's just funny. It's like, I mean, it's kind of cool. Like the legacy lives on a little bit, but at the same time, it's kind of weird,
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a kick out of writing that lyric. I kind of like laughed to myself.
And then, so third is Playing with Scissors, right?
Playing with Scissors, yeah. So,
well, real quick, do you know whose
yeah.
favorite this is? There's a few people, but do you know who the main one of the main people?
I think Max said something,
yeah,
right?
Max
Yeah.
loves this song.
Yeah. No, it's one. Actually, you know what? It might be one of my favorite songs on the record too. Actually, it rocks. So on this, when I write songs, sometimes if I have nothing, like just a blank canvas, what I'll do is I'll give myself little assignments or little like challenges, right? So on this particular one, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna write a song in 6/8 time signature. Everything we've done so far is 4/4. Guitar riffs can sound really cool in 6/8. So I'm like, that's what it's gonna be. That's what I know. 6/8. Yeah. Where do I go from here? So I start with the drum. So I got the song was actually written around the drum patterns in 6/8. So that's kind of how that came about. And I did a demo of it. I sent it to you. I say, here you go. Put lyrics to it. And I remember when I did that demo too, I wasn't landed on that arrangement as like the final. I was like, here's some pieces I put together. Do your thing. See what you can do.
Yeah.
And you wrote lyrics and sang to that exact arrangement. And I think I remember too, you were like, well, do you want to change some parts or what? I'm like, no, what you did was perfect. Like you made that song perfect. Like I don't want to change any parts. I don't want to move anything around. Everything works with what you sang over. And I don't know if you meant to do that or not.
I remember, it's funny you're saying that. I remember, so what you sent me demo wise, I love the sound because it was so like raunchy. Like it was so like, I don't know, it just seemed like it was super thick. And so when you re-recorded it, I know I was a little disappointed because it wasn't as raunchy. But then as I grew into it a little bit more, I realized that it needed to have that sort of clean sound. Just a cleaner distortion, if that makes sense. Or just not
when I did the demo, I did it with a clean amp and I used this pedal.
Oh yeah,
like a pretty standard pedal.
Yeah.
Is that backwards on the camera?
Nope.
I don't know.
Nope.
But when I re-recorded it, I used my Mark V, my Mesa Boogie, and it's just a different tone. It's a little bit more low end, and it's just not as harsh on the ears. And I know I remember at first you were like, but I was like, first of all, the performance needed to be cleaned up because the demo I one take kind of sloppy. I'm like, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But no, I think that song came out really well, and the lyrics are awesome. Your phrasing, what you sang on it is awesome. Those little parts, like everything is just kind of. And you did another one where you did the leads too. Those like drone leads.
Oh yeah. That was funny because that was a little bit hard for me to find the right tone for that sort of middle part of that little fill towards the end. And then when I finally came up with that one, I think I was just so pissed off and so like kind of done. That you could hear at the end of the song, I'm just going berserk on my guitar, just hitting those octaves. Yeah. I was done. I was just like, screw this. And I just sort of just going at it. And then I listened back. I'm like, that sounds pretty cool actually.
Yeah. That's the right vibe. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So
even
yeah, that's
even that one was kind of fun to go back. Again, it's fun to go back to where it was and then where's the final product, because it was fun to hear where I was mentally singing the chorus or the little ahs. I
hmm
remember at that point I didn't do the ahs, I did lyrics and I sang something up and down with it.
mm,
But then I realized when I started recording it and whatever, it just something just hit me differently, and I just like, no, let's do something
yeah.
different. And so yeah, and then it worked out. So,
Was
anyways,
that I don't remember. Did you record all your vocals on that here or at your place? I don't remember.
no, I did that here. I did all that here.
You did, yeah, okay. And that's a lot of this record. Your vocals are done at your house that you emailed to me, and then I flew them into the session and
Yeah, for the most
edited
part.
them and did my thing. But yeah, a lot of like it was fortunately you were able to get a little setup at your house, microphone and preamp and everything like that to do that, because again, it could be weeks or months before
Yeah,
you could get in here, and so you
we
know
had to make it
we
work.
didn't have the we didn't have the benefit of that real time feedback, like, hey, sing it this way or try it like this. It was like over a period of days over email, but we made it work. So
Yeah.
yeah, that song came out really well.
All right.
Cool.
So next is
uh
Crystalline, right?
yeah, and so again, when I'm writing songs, I sometimes give myself these little challenges, right? So
Mhm.
on this particular one, I wanted to see if I could write a song with one part.
Open your eyes behind the curtain. Enjoy the show and wish you well. One way to.
It's just one part the whole song. Like, it doesn't change. There's no A part, B part, no. There's a first chorus in a way,
Yeah.
but it's the same riff just over and over and over.
Yeah.
And the key to doing, and a lot of, I think When Doves Cry, Prince is like that too. There's a lot of songs out there, if you really pay attention, it's kind of just one part.
Yes.
But the key is every 8 measures, something has to change.
Yeah.
Whether you're introducing something, taking something out, singing, no singing, the percussion comes in or whatever. So that you got to keep it interesting, right?
Yeah.
So I think I was able to pull it off, but that is one just guitar. It's not even really a riff, just progression over and over and over. And then of course it ends with my gratuitous guitar solo.
But here's the thing, Aaron, and I've told you this before, and I don't know if I've said this. I don't think I've ever said this on the thing, but Aaron's leads are to me like, Aaron doesn't like show off. Like, you don't show off to me. Like, you compliment the song. Like, I've said it many times to you. I'm like, I really like what you did there. I really like your lead. There's only very few times where I'm just like, well, maybe could you do a little busier here or something like that. But you make it work, and I love it, because I love when bands do leads where you can almost sing the lead, or hum the lead. Pearl Jam has had that quite a bit at the very beginning too, that kind of stuff. So, and that to me, a huge compliment is your lead for that. I love it. There's these little parts where you kind of let it just sit out there for a moment and then go up a little bit. And you're just complimenting what's behind it. And I remember too, when you sent me the demo of this one, I wasn't sure I liked it at all. And you said, what if I put lyrics to it? Just hear me out. And then you sent it to me and you sang some of it and whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you just blew my mind, because I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of times when I have to say, trust me. Like, I got a vision here. I'm not quite there yet, but just trust me. But no, you're right. In terms of my lead playing, I'm not the fastest player. I'm not like a big shredder, I try to make my leads and my solos more on the melodic side, and like you say, to complement the song. It's not all about how many notes can I cram in a measure. It's more about elevating the song. It's not a vocal. The vocal is the lead. focal part of the song, but then when a solo comes in, it kind of takes over that part. And that's just how I like to write. So I kind of worked out that solo, and then Max had some feedback on it. I made a little tweak because I had a part in there that sounded like a lead from another song. I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. So I got it all done, and then I doubled it. I had it all mapped out, recorded, and then I just played it again. So that solo that you're hearing is basically me playing it twice.
And it sounds, to me, it sounds flawless, and I totally dig that lead. And it's funny because there's a lot of people go, he sounds very Alice in Chains in that song. But I tell people, I said, that's just how he's always sang. He doesn't try to be like Lane Staley.
No, I don't.
It's just how you sing. And
sometimes it's hard
at all, though.
It's hard not to. There's such big influence on me. It's just like in my DNA, those songs ever since I was a teenager. I learned how to sing harmonies from Alice in Chains. So it's hard, but you're right. I mean, my voice doesn't sound anything like Lane Staley or even William Duvall for that matter. So, maybe the vibe is kind of there, but I don't. I hope that we're not rip-offs of Alice in Chains.
No. I don't think we try that at all. I think, again, I feel like it's how you sing. I feel like I sing like quite a few of my influences. Like you even said at one point, I sound like it reminded you of the 77s. I showed you a 77 song. You're like, you kind of sound like this guy.
Yeah.
That was influence to me.
Yeah.
But, what are we on?
What's next?
5 is
Saturn Street. This is your song.
Yeah, this was a good chunk of me.
This is mostly you. I think I only did a few leads on this. You even played the bass. Normally I do a lot of the bass tracks, but you did the bass on this one. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's right. I have actually, I think I posted video of me playing the bass on this one. When I think we were just screwing around one day or something. I can't remember. And I just started playing that riff to you. And I think you were like, oh, I kind of dig that. And then I just kind of went off of that and said, well, this is what I kind of had idea for this and this for that for that. And I just build up from there. I like the fact, though, you came in, you did your little leads.
Little leads.
Sorry, your fills for the song. So that was horrible. I'm sorry. I'll edit that out. But you did your fills that to me were just right. And then you actually, something was bugging me about the second chorus the second chorus, and it needed a different kind of saying or something. So then I told you what I was thinking, and you did it, and I feel like you nailed it. And I really feel like it gave it something a little extra, especially in the narrative too. One day you will see why you're blind.
Right.
One day I'll rid you from my mind.
Yeah.
To me, that was very important to say, for at least in my opinion, for that song.
Good.
So,
yeah, glad I was able to make that happen for you. I remember I used my baritone guitar on that because I wanted the dun 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 dun. I wanted that thick low.
Oh yeah.
And the leads aren't nothing too crazy. They just kind of fill out the sound a little bit. There's a little mini solo at the end. Again, not a shredding solo, but kind of reminds me of Jimmy Page a little bit. The lead that I do at the end.
Yeah.
Something that he would do. So that's our second single that we released, Saturn Street too. So Fight or Flight. Okay, that was an older one.
Fire in the hand of your sweet baby. Don't hate me, I believe the wolves are at the door. Rising climate.
I wrote that around Thanksgiving, not this last Thanksgiving, but the Thanksgiving before. I'm pretty sure.
That's right. Just the riff, right? It was just the beginning.
Yeah, I had the riff, and that was another one I wrote on acoustic first, and then translated over to electric. It's pretty much just the verses. in the pre-chorus. Yeah, it was the verses in the pre-chorus, and I sent it, emailed it to you, and you know, you never know. Like you're like, I think I got something here. You know, I don't know, is he gonna like it or not? Is he gonna hear something to put on this, or is he gonna say this sucks? No, let's not use it or whatever. But I remember sending it to you, and I remember you responding pretty positively to it. I also, that one was hard to sing, believe it or not. I had to really capture the right, on the verses at least, capture the right vibe, the right attitude, the right feel. I wanted it to be very kind of laid back and not whispery, but like kind of just softly sang, I guess is the right way to say it. And a lot of the vocals on that particular track were the demo vocals, because I tried to re-record it and it wasn't working. Like yeah, you know, and quite a few actually of my vocals are demos. But I'm not thinking about it. I'm not thinking this is for real. This is just a scratch, right? And I end up capturing some magic sometimes, or at least something that I can't really duplicate again. Or when I try, I don't like it as well as what I originally did on the demo. So a lot of those I kept. I went in and edited or fixed a few, you know, re-sang a couple words or lines. But for the most part, that was the original thing. And another thing about singing that. I have the Shure SMB mic, the one you have right there. I don't know if you could see it in the background. Yeah. And I had to hold it. I tried to sing it when it was on a mic stand and just standing there. Yeah. I was not getting the right feel. I had to actually take it off the mic stand, hold it in my hands, and sing into it. And then that's how I was able to get it. So yeah, kind of weird the way that happened.
Just for the verse? Wow.
Just for the verse. Yeah. And then the chorus was written a little bit later.
We had a problem with that. We had a little bit of struggle.
Yeah. The riff itself, it wasn't big enough. It wasn't meaty enough. Yeah. I was playing it just like single notes, kind of Tom Morello-esque. And it just wasn't big. So what I did is I went in and recorded more guitars in a different tuning, more like not an open D tuning, but almost an open D tuning, so that I would never be able to recreate that live. I'd need two guitars. I'd need a guitar for the verse, trade it for another one for the chorus. But yeah, so that really kind of brought it to where it needed to go. And then of course we both sing.
Around that same time, we met up and we were trying to figure out the chorus, and we were at your place, and then we were all around it. We were right around there, and then you said, "Try this," and it was a little bit like not what we originally were doing. It was a little off time in a way, and it totally worked. The lyrics worked, the flow of it worked, and it hit right on the spot.
Yeah,
so I think was all you, man.
Well, it was both of us. I think the original, if I remember correctly, now we're going like back almost 2 years, but the chorus was just, I went, fight or flight, fight or flight.
That's right.
Fight or flight, right?
Fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight.
Yeah. Kind of like a repetitive, like, and you weren't feeling that too much. You're like, I like it, but it needs to be that, only a little bit of that, and then something else. So that's how we kind of came with how it ended, you know, like and then it's kind of a call and response actually. Ended up being. So yeah, it worked out. But no, it's a good song, and that's relatively easier to mix compared to the other ones for me. Yeah, no, I'm really happy with the way that one came out, and I love the fact that a lot of the vocals were just from the demo.
Yeah. I had a comment about your lead. Like, I feel like I needed something, and then you just did your own thing, and I was like, I don't know if that fits, but you didn't do what I said. You did what you did, and it was even better. And I liked it. And it was cool. Yeah. It totally fit. And again, it's one of those leads where, to me, I can sing along with it, and or mouth it.
I had that solo in my head for weeks or months before I even recorded it.
Really?
I knew it was gonna go. I knew that it was. You know, I'm sitting there. I'm in the shower and I'm thinking about writing songs and everything like that. And I knew it. I just had to actually just make it happen. And that's another one too. That solo was actually mapped out and then doubled. So I played it twice.
Well,
Double solo.
oh my gosh. Okay, so now that also reminded me. We can go off of this. I'm sorry, but that also, you just totally reminded me. We also had a hard time with the very beginning of that. Do you remember that?
No,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
did.
yeah. I remember we're trying to think of some sort of guitar that go with that the do 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 do. You know, just
Oh,
and we couldn't think of like we are trying to do different octaves, different
yes, you're
whatever,
right.
something
Yeah,
hard, something soft, or something whatever.
yeah.
And then what you came with was just again enough of a complementary flow with what's behind it.
I think that was another one of those instances where you're kind of just like, I don't know what to do. I'm done. I'm just gonna throw something up,
Totally was.
like
And you did
but
it.
it worked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally worked.
yeah. The only light left in the sky. The first song we wrote, right?
Yeah.
Very first song. So we did an EP in 2019, and 6 songs recorded, mixed, mastered, released, and within days we were already writing new material. And this one was the first one.
Well, it started off with just the intro that you wrote, and then you send it to me, or I just decided to jump on it, and then turn into what it turned into,
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah.
And
This is another one of your babies. You pretty much you produced this song for the most part. I think too. I played bass on it, but you did all the guitars.
yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And I only sing. Well, I sing some backups. I sing that one short verse. So this is mostly you. This song.
Yeah. Well, even like what I had for the second verse, you sang it different than what I had originally. But I like that you
Right.
did that because it took away from what I already did and actually gave a little bit more of a variety, and it sounded great.
Right.
Yeah, and this one lyrically, this one was a very personal song for me.
Yeah.
In regards to Tawny, so my
Sure.
wife. But yeah, and this was a fun one to do because it had someone said that this reminded them of my friend Shannon. He said that it reminded him a little bit of Rise Against a little bit. That's
Yeah.
sort of, kind of a punk feel, but still kind of just a steady rock song too.
I
So,
used one of their tracks as my reference. When you're mixing, you use reference tracks.
Yeah.
And just to kind of make sure you're in the right ballpark, and you're not trying to copy it or make it duplicate it, but you do want to make sure that the low end is relatively the same, and the vocals and the guitar balance is relatively the same. So I used one of their songs as one of my references for that mix.
perfect. See.
Yeah.
And
So that came from you. I mean, you brought up Rise Again, so I was like, okay, well then I'll find one of those tracks. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that was again, first song we wrote. I went through a lot of mix versions on that one. That one was one of the harder ones to mix. I felt like I had a final mix like 5 times.
Yeah, probably.
This is the final. Well, actually, let me do another one. Just getting the guitar tones just right, and just getting everything balanced and getting the drums to sound right and stuff like that. And I knew it was a personal song for you, and I wanted to do it justice, like all the songs, but I really wanted to make sure I did it well for you.
Yeah, and you did, and to me it sounds great, and I'm glad we took out we had a oohs and ahs at the very end. There was a lot of them, and it just seemed too much, so we took those out.
Yeah,
and some other stuff, but
Yeah.
the end product I think is a really good song, musically, lyrically. Yeah, I think, it's a good song. So,
Yeah. Past the Lighthouse. Yeah, this was another one. This song was started early in the oh yeah, that's right. This is funny. It was started early in the process, but we didn't actually finish it until towards the end.
I'm counting down until it's over. Joy in my eyes is fading away. Would you rather have me pick out playing?
But I had the chorus written, no lyrics or vocals, just the guitar part, and I had another part for the verse.
Yes.
Completely different than what's on the record, and I sent it to you, and you're like, I like it, but it kind of sounds like Megadeth, and I'm like, it does not sound like Megadeth. So the first working title for that song was Not Megadeth. That was it. Not Megadeth was the name of the song. So I knew I wasn't going to get that verse riff past you. So I scrapped it, and that's when I came up with the verse that was on the record. And but that chorus was the original idea, and I think there was even different. I had some scratch lyrics for that chorus.
Yes, that's right.
Because I wanted to know what it would sound like. I recorded the vocals, again, just scratched vocals. And I knew that chorus was going to be big and going to be nice sounding with the harmonies and everything like that. So we wrote the rest of the song around it, you know, those verses. And then I believe I recorded the guitars on the verse and chorus, but you recorded the guitars from the second half.
Oh,
on,
yeah.
Like the bridge on.
yeah, that's true.
That's kind of funny the way that worked.
But I think it worked because it just, I know the original was this interesting little break, and then went back into the chorus again, like for quite a few times. And it just didn't sit well with me. And I feel like it needed like a pot. Like, again, to me, this song had a Foo Fighters feel to me. And for some reason, it wasn't like I was trying to rip off, but I was like, what if we just kind of stopped and it was just guitar and that really soft vocals of something, and then build back into this sort of crescendo of this driving ending, you know, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And that took a while. It took a while to kind of nail that and figure it out. And especially the melody, more or less. I remember going through so many different freaking versions of that singing, and it was driving me crazy. And I know it was probably driving you crazy. It was driving Max crazy. But
I didn't know that you did that all at your house, so I didn't know the pain that you went through to get that product. But that when it does come back after that kind of breakdown, and then when we kind of go into that halftime, it hits like those guitars. The tones are. We got the right amps on those Marshall amps, because it just really, really hits. And I do remember too that you had completed your vocals. Again, I'm pretty sure, you did all the vocals at your house on that particular song. Yep. With your gear and everything like that. And I added a lot of background vocals on that too. I remember I quite a few tracks to especially on this chorus, to kind of open it up a little bit. Another thing about that song too, to point out, it starts with drums and bass. You and I are guitar players first and foremost, who can sing a little bit and do some other things, right? But it's kind of cool that we feature the bass introducing that song, and I think it grooves pretty well. And I didn't even have to edit it too much. That was almost like a one taker.
Oh, really?
Almost. Yeah, and I think I used a different drum kit on that particular one. Most of our songs, most of our songs have one drum kit. I wanted to kind of keep it consistent because I knew we were making a record, but there's a couple songs with different drum kits, and that particular one is an older, like 70s, you know, old school drum kit. And but it fits the song so well that, you know, that's the same kit that we used on Thread the Needle.
Oh, really? That's the same one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, hindsight is 2020.
This was another one where
This is
we were close towards the end, and then you had
Yeah.
this freaking thing, and decided to
almost an accident. Not as much of an accident as Cosmic U, but this riff just kind of came out, and I was like, oh, this might be cool. Maybe we should write a song around this. And and then I sent it to you, and you could shoot it down, right? You could always be like, not feeling okay, good. But then when you're like, no, this is a song. Like, okay, then let's get started. This is our one song about the year 2020. A lot of bands wrote songs, wrote music about 2020 and what was going on, and this is kind of our documentation, so to speak, of 2020. But no, I wrote this one on my baritone guitar, so it's tuned down like
so thick,
a whole step down, and then I do the drop D tuning even. So that baritone, it's my LTD baritone back there, and I love that guitar. It's got EMG pickups in it, and it just sounds so meaty and so good. So yeah, that was and it took me forever to do the guitars too, because I wanted it was really important on that particular song to have the guitars tight, like really tight. They have to be tight all the time, but there's so many like stops and starts. Yes. That they really had to, because I double the guitars, so they have to be like one sounding guitar.
Yeah.
It took me like a month to do those guitars.
That's right.
It took me a long time.
I just remember like here and there texts going, okay, man, I'm making progress.
Yeah. I'm glad I spent the time to do it though, because now every time I listen back to it, there's not one point where I'm like,
no,
I can hear the difference between two. No, it is tight. Yeah. So I'm glad I kind of stuck to my discipline there. But yeah, that one, and that song was written really fast. That came, like, the parts all just kind of came together. And that was another one where I had the basic tracks, and I said, all right, Scotty, I've taken as far as I can go. I don't have anything else. That's Here right. You go. Yep. Do your thing. And you pretty quickly did the vocals at your house, and I was like blown away. Like, you nailed those lyrics, the phrasing, like everything. Like, I don't think I had to tell you I didn't have any suggestions or any tweaks. I was like, nope, good. Love it.
Well, that's how I felt about the song too, because when you sent it to me, I was like, dude, this feels like Helmet to me. It sounds so thick, and it reeked of that, and I loved it because it just had that tone, but even almost more so. And when you sent it to me, I remember going, oh, this might be a little long, and I wasn't too sure. Like, okay, we might have to cut this and stuff. And even the bridge, I wasn't too sold on the bridge as well at first. But then I was like, I think it took a couple listens. I'm like, I think this could work if I can figure out how to work with it. And so then it just, the lyrics and the tone, or the melody, just came right to me almost immediately. Sometimes you know me, sometimes it hits me real quick and it works immediately. Yeah. And then sometimes it just takes a while. But this one came to me really quick, and I love the chorus. It's just it's such a good, interesting mix of super hard and meaty to like this really catchy chorus and like melodic chorus and stuff. And especially at the end, I love that you had the idea of dropping off the music, and then what's funny was I was singing two parts. And I thought, I remember showing you going, what should we get rid of? And then you're like, well, actually, let's try it like this. Let's keep all three, and let's just fade out the music. And because it had because I was singing a Blink 182 when I was doing those two parts in a way. And then hearing it back, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds really interesting. And then when you did the little fade out at the end, I was like, that totally fits. It's so good.
Yeah. You know what's also cool about that song? We haven't really talked about this, but a lot of our songs, at least lyrically, we both write them. And like, I wrote the chorus on that, right? You wrote the verses. And we don't talk a lot about like the lyrics and what they mean and everything. We do a little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah.
But what's amazing to me is like, you can take my ideas and finish them without us even talking about it.
That's
like,
true.
Like I had that chorus. I'm like, all right, you get the idea, right? This is the chorus, this is kind of the hook or whatever. Write some verses. And your verses, like, I don't know, they just fit perfectly it's like you instinctively knew the content, what to write about, how they should be saying, the attitude, everything like that. And we've done that on a few songs where, you know, I write the verse, you write the chorus, or vice versa, and we sing the different parts or whatever. And it seems to work.
Yeah, it is. And you know, I think though you did have a hand, and you said you wanted one phrase. You liked the phrase of
weapons grade persuasion.
Weapons grade persuasion. And so, like, how the hell did I put this into to what I'm trying to say? And honestly, it just took me a second or two, and then just came up with that. So but I think that's great because I like that phrasing. I like that a lot.
Can't break me. So this,
okay.
This one gets the rise out of you, clearly.
How much do I admit to this thing? This song broke me.
It did break you. It almost did.
Yep.
It almost did. How ironic. It was an early song. I think it was maybe like the third song that we wrote for this record. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about it, other than my favorite part of the song is the solo. I like the solo. Is a little challenge for myself. Write the solo in a different key.
Yeah.
So you notice the song goes on, verse, chorus, and then when it kicks into the solo, it goes into a different key. And I didn't know what I was going to do for a solo, but I knew it was going to be in a different key. It was going to take the listener somewhere else. So I'm proud of that. I really enjoy listening to the solo the most on that particular song. But I'll let you speak to the trials and tribulations you had.
No, we don't need to go into that too much.
Well, let's just say we wrote and rewrote the lyrics and the phrasing multiple times on that song.
Of course, man. And it was so freaking frustrating. Sorry, I'm putting my hand in front of my face. It was very hard for me because it was one of the songs I was really excited about. And I think I just became so jaded because I had immediately had the chorus of the sort of yelly part of the chorus to the "You Can't Break." I had that fine, but then it was the melody of the call and response, and it was the phrasing and the melody in between that, and I kept on trying to rework it, and then it became too much where there was too much vocals. I think at one point where it didn't blend in very well, something along those lines.
Well, that was a hard song to mix the vocals because there are parts where you are singing three different things at the same time.
Yeah.
And just you. So just your voice, your frequency range. I had to figure out how to make three parts that you sang, not just one jumbled mess of vocal, right? So I used EQ, that you use EQ on that. I filtered out, different frequencies on some parts. One of the parts it's very mid-rangey, so there's no, low end or high. It's like a telephone type effect, distortion, telephone. On other parts are split hard left and right in stereo, to make space for all those. But that was the big challenge for me, is making the lyrics able to hear them all and pick out everything distinctly, but not just be overwhelmed with what's going on, it's the vocal mess. But I think on that one, I think you beat yourself up a lot on that, but the whole time I was like, I'm loving what you're doing. It sounds good to me. I think this is better than I think you think it is. Cause I think it turned out really well. And I think the things that you wanted to change, I was like, are you sure? Cause they're pretty good.
And so many times I texted you or emailed you and said, dude, I'm done with this. I can't freaking do this song anymore. And it broke me. This song broke me. I never thought
it broke it. And I fought you on it because I think you wanted to scrap it. I'm like, no, we're doing it. We're doing it. Yeah. We're going to make it happen. And that's another one with the Mesa Boogie and the Les Paul.
Yeah.
And we did some harmonics on the verse. You were talking about the harmonics earlier. That features some harmonics on that riff. So yeah, no, that one came out pretty good too. I stand by it.
It has a very when I first heard it, it had a very Guns N' Roses kind of a feel to it.
Kind of. Yeah,
At
kind of like that
least,
driving punky hard rock thing.
yeah, especially the key change and then you going to the lead. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was another one too, where I did most of the rhythm guitars on the track, but you played the bridge.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
came up with
handed you the
bridge
guitar, and you played the bridge guitars on that.
Yeah, that's right. Because
So
another one of those moments where we're going, what do we do here? I don't know. Well, let's start screwing around. And we came up with something.
yeah,
And then I think last is
Tremors.
Tremors.
brought me here. I want to let it go. This place I've called home all my life.
So this one took a very long time. So we were trying
For you.
to, yes, this was one that I wanted. Well, this was based off of the idea was, I don't know how much I can say, but it was based off of something that Max got us involved with. And it was sort of a serious subject. And so I wanted it to be, because a lot of my writing lyrically is based on my first love, which is emo, like real emo, like Sunny Day Real Estate, Mineral, and I can go off on all that stuff. And that's how I wrote lyrically. And this song was a very serious song, and I wanted to be right. And I wanted to have a build. And I think one day I was listening to In This Moment, and I was loving how the lead singer was singing a particular song and how it was kind of building up. And it, to me, it was like, that's it. That's how I feel like it should be. It should be that have a similar feel. There was a few different versions of this song as far as the build. Was there a build? Some just went immediately, and then the lyrically, I was trying to figure out how the hell to sing it. I did it, and it just took a long time because I wanted it to be perfect. I really wanted to have a good sound. You know?
I remember you also had some technical difficulties on that too, with the computer, the session, the files themselves.
That's
like,
right.
You lost some, or because when our emailing back and forth normally works, but I think we had some issues with like
this one,
audio files not being there or whatever. So, add that to on top of just trying to work out the arrangement and everything like that. But that song was pretty much all you, mostly. I mean, I did the bass on it, and mixed it, but you wrote it. That was one of those ones where it's like, all right, Scotty's got Tremors. Like, he's working on it.
Yes, yeah.
He'll send me when he's done, and then of course it features someone else other than us.
So what was cool about that was I sang it all, and then I'm involved with this group, a bunch of different musicians, different bands, and we were talking about collaborations and there's a certain website, again, I forget some of this stuff, where you can pay for someone to be a part of. And I mentioned something too, and one of the gentlemen was Micah Smith from the band Empty Atlas. And I really, really like their sound. They're a great indie rock band.
Mm-hmm.
And
great band.
Yeah, and I just threw it out there and just said, hey, Micah, this song would just sound really good with your vocals. I think it would be perfect for it. And he was like, yeah, dude, I'll absolutely, I'll do it. And I sent him the song, sent the lyrics the way I sung it. And he actually just kind of had the idea of what I did, and he just made it his own. And man, and he just brought just so much more to it than I thought. Yeah. And there was a lot of compliments from the shortly after he sent us those files and we put it together. The people that I did show was like, yeah, that really just added to it. And he really gave that feel of what I was wanting it to have.
Yeah.
So he nailed that one perfect.
I remember when you sent them to me, the first time I queued it up, I was like, oh yeah, this is good. This is that little extra texture. And obviously I'm not used to hearing another voice other than yours and mine on these things. So that was like different and but good. He nailed it. And he sounds, he kind of harmonizes with you a little bit. And I had a hard time actually not featuring him too much. I had to bring it back. I think on one version, you're like, maybe you can tuck him back a little bit more. Like, okay. The hardest part, one of the hardest things to mix on that song. So dynamically, it starts off really just, you singing in a bass synth and everything. And then there's that part where you hit the chord as it's building. And I had to get it just right to where that chord had enough impact to not take your head off when it comes in, not make you like reach for the volume knob, like, oh my God, right? But also it had to be big enough to where it had impact. It wasn't, because if it didn't splash enough, it would be like, eh. Yeah. So that strum chord had to be just right. And I remember listening to it on a lot of different speakers, headphones, a lot of different speakers, and trying to get myself in a headspace where I'm not anticipating it. I'm just kind of like, let it come, like trying to listen to it for the first time, I think I got it, but that was the hardest thing is dynamically that song is so quiet and then, obviously louder at the end. So, but no, it's a good song. It's, I guess, our slowest, most mellow song in that way.
Yeah.
But I like the synth on it.
Yeah. Well, I like that you did that because I wasn't sure when I first sent it to you. I was just trying to throw something just in there to have that, keep that kind of tone, and you took it and ran with it. And
that was the original thing you had. I think you expected me to do a different synth line or sound. I just took what you did. I'm like, there's no need to change it. This is good. This is perfect.
I didn't know that.
I think I might have added a little bit extra on the low end to get it bassier, but for the most part, I was like, I played around with a couple other synths, and you get used to hearing that, over and over on a demo. This is the thing too. It's something called demoitis, where you get so used to hearing something on your demo that you can't recreate it, or you end up not doing something different because you liked what you had on the demo so much to begin with. So yeah, that particular one, I was like, there's no need to change it. So I kept it.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that. So cool. And it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, totally worked. That's pretty much it. And then of course there's the Cosmic You. And I wanted to mention too, this is more on the radio edit version, but you came up with that video. You put that video together by yourself, and it's awesome. Like, you did such a great job on that video. I'm blown away. I really am. I was like, wow, like this is pro looking. I filmed some of myself here, and then we did some stuff together and everything like that. And I'm glad you were able to fly that into that stock footage, but your editing skills are on point, man.
Well, thank you. It was such a weird challenge because the whole thing started with a miscommunication. I misunderstood something, and then I decided to throw something together, and it took me 3 hours. The initial first one took me 3 hours to kind of throw it all together, and which didn't turn out bad. But then when we found out we actually had more time, and I wasn't expecting to make a video, like a music video. So then we ended up doing our photo shoot, and just had some great opportunity there to film, and Tawny helped us to do that, and was able to film it, put it together, and it was a pain in the butt, but I really enjoyed trying to make a music video that I've never done before.
I think this is one of those things, Scotty, where you didn't intend to make the video. You probably didn't even want to make the video. It just kind of happened to where you're like, well, I guess I'll just do it. I'm glad this happened that way, though. I'm glad you were kind of just pushed, because now you can see your talents are there, and you know what you're capable of now. And I think you can make all our videos going forward. I'm glad that you stuck with it and just say, oh, sorry, we don't have a video. I can't do it. I know you put the time in, so I thank you. I appreciate that.
Honestly, I really enjoyed editing. It's really weird, but I really enjoy editing. I have fun editing stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad you.
It's fun.
I remember I was going to say, we talked about this before, but so, I do the mixing and everything, like, the audio production part, and you're learning that stuff. You got a little setup at home and stuff like that, but I've been teaching you the audio stuff, whatever. Well, when it comes to the video stuff, I'm like, that's not my talent at all. I have no idea. Like, I'm a total fan, I'm like, it looks good to me. I love it, whatever. So now I know what it's like like, for example, when I recorded some of my parts, I didn't know better to do the iPhone on the horizontal. I did the vertical way, you know?
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I can't use the vertical. Like, I was like, oh yeah, good point. So it's just like, I know, like,
Yeah.
so when you send me audio tracks, you know, then I'm like, Scotty, you can do them on separate tracks. Like I can comp these together. You don't have to try to get them all on one track.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just hilarious because
Very
I was like,
similar.
okay, now I know, you know, the feeling, but no, I'm such a novice when it comes to videos and editing and stuff like that. So I'm glad that you have those talents and the photography too, what you and Tawny do, to make our brand visual.
Yeah.
Is awesome. So,
Yeah. Oh,
thank you.
yeah, absolutely. And you know what? And speaking of, I don't know if you saw this, but Tony went kind of behind my back and she got a bunch of these.
Oh, nice. Are those stickers?
Those are, yep, Silent
Nice.
Weapons for Quiet War stickers.
Awesome.
Yay.
Awesome.
Hopefully I'll be able to do a little thing where I can mail those out to whoever responds first, or you know, just hand them out to people or something.
Now, who did that artwork? Was that all you? Was that a collaboration with you and Tawny? Who? I don't even know who did that.
No, that was another thing where it was off of Unsplash, and then Tawny took it and added it, did her little magic that she does, and threw the symbol in there, and
Yeah.
just kind of manipulated it and filters or whatever, and just made it what it was. And I think it's a really appealing cover. I dig it.
So that's all Tawny. We're lucky that we have Tawny on our team to do those things.
Exactly. Anyways, so with that said, I think that maybe some other time we can go into a little bit about ourselves and maybe of the back and forth of, you know, your kind of beginnings, my beginnings. But as far as the, you know, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, this is kind of the gist of almost 2 years. That's kind of a small an hour, you know, about a little over an hour of what happened. So,
no, I think it's good. I'm glad we were able to do this, and I you know, hopefully people will like it. I know I'll like seeing it on my YouTube feed.
Yeah, thank you, man, for taking time. I know it was a long time, but it's also a long time coming too. We need to do this.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
All right, we're still working on stuff, so
we're working on new material, and we're actually working on some covers too. So that's a new thing for us. But yeah, just like last time, you know, record's done, moving on to the next right away.
The fun begins again.
Yeah.
All right, man. All right. Well, you have a good night. I will talk to you later.
All right. Take it easy.
Bye, brother.